Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. It is currently 2:24 Night Movie Gang. My name is LC, and I'm here with Court. Say hi.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? Yeah, I'm LC. My pronouns are he, they, and here with Court.
My pronouns are they, them.
Rock and roll. And we're here, which exists, by the way, more than just he and she. This ain't a political podcast, but...
Oh, yeah, but fuck Donald Trump.
But fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, if you're a Donald Trump fan, stop fucking listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
There are queers on this podcast.
There are definitely. It's the queer cast, the queer movie cast. So for those of you just tuning in, the primary topic of this show, aside from queer films, is we mainly talk about horror, sci-fi, genre film, things of that nature, quote-unquote, lowbrow cinema movies.
The best shit.
The best shit. And there's been a lot of good shit lately. And this episode is kind of just going to be like a little round robin of round table, red robin, a little run through. Are you you want me to turn you down?
No, can you just turn the music down a little bit?
Turn the music down? Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
It's all good. Folks at home, you're listening, you hear different background music than we do. Basically, yeah, it's early February 2025, and we've been to the movies quite a bit the last month or so.
4 times?
4 times. Well, technically, so this year we've been to the theaters 5 times thus far, but the first time was Bob Dylan, which came out at the end of last year. So
I remember it.
I'm not counting that. Also, it's not a horror movie. And we're just going to kind of go through these 4 movies that we've seen this year, which they've honestly all been bangers for the most part.
Absolute bangers.
In various levels. One of these movies we're going to talk about is getting kind of got trashed. Well, the first movie we're going to talk about. But you see, the 4 movies we're going to discuss today are Wolfman, Presence, Companion, and Hard Eyes, which we're not going to do like deep plot dives for this one. 1, in terms of time. 2, in terms of like, I don't think these movies necessarily need that. Maybe Presence would. Maybe we could do a larger episode on Presence at some point, but we're just going to kind of go through our thoughts, maybe some like any particular scenes that kind of stick out, and just kind of like talk about this nice little this anti-bad January we've had, because I was telling you, and like a lot of other reviewers that I follow have also kind of commented on this as well, is that historically January movies are not good. Like I say movie, like usually it's kind of like where the studios throw kind of their schlock movies that they don't really care about. Like for example, last year, Night Swim is the perfect example of
just a shit movie that doesn't go in the blockbuster slots
in the
summer or in the fall.
Exactly, something that's boring. But I think that pretty much all the movies that have been coming out right now have been very not boring. They've been interesting to great. So we'll just kind of start going through them.
Before we do that, I do want to say that we are going to spoil all of these movies. Obviously, we always do. But also, particularly for Presence, that movie was, we'll get into it, but while we really liked that movie, just some trigger warnings up front for some pretty graphic sexual assault stuff, date rape stuff, substance abuse, suicide, pretty rough in Presence.
And a general warning for the movie, if you're thinking about going to see it, that's something to keep in mind, that those are heavy themes. And I think we both agree that it's really well done, and these topics are well presented, but they are in there heavily. So that's something that you're sensitive to. You might want to like kind of wait and test the waters on,
maybe skip that one.
Maybe skip it, or wait till it comes at home so that you can, like, if something, maybe you start, it gets too strong, you can turn it off type deal, one of those. But good. And this will be all over the description and everything, so we'll be, but let's start off with Wolfman, the first 2025 movie. This movie is directed by Leigh Whannell, who directed the Invisible Man remake, which was
also really good.
Which is also really good. And funnily enough, not really a story, but like that was the last movie I saw in theaters before COVID hit.
Yeah.
It came out January 2020. And I have I think part of my like nostalgia for that movie is based off of that, because like I went with a group of friends, and like it was like we were the only people in the theater, so we were like talking the whole way through it, and like I have a very specific experience with it. But outside of that, that is a great movie, and that was a big part of why we were excited about this one. The trailers also look really good. We were excited to see Julia Gardner, who plays Ruth on Ozark, a show that we're a big fan of, like being in a movie. We've seen her in a movie before. And overall, there was a lot to kind of be excited for. Maybe tell me quickly your kind of like history with the Wolfman as a creature, maybe like your take on like other universal, maybe some other adaptations you've known to this, and what you thought of the movie overall.
I really loved the movie. I really like creatures. You know that about me.
We're both creature guys.
I just love creatures in a movie, and I don't have a whole lot of like movie nostalgia for necessarily like this kind of thing. Kind of like when we talked about Nosferatu, like most of my association is with like books that I read, especially as like a teenager, like reading young adult books with like creatures in them and stuff. And then of course, like I grew up with Harry Potter. Fuck J.K. Rowling, but like I did grow up with Harry Potter.
And SpongeBob with Nosferatu.
Yeah. And yeah, I was really pumped for this movie. I love a remake of like a existing folktale situation. I love when we remake those things, because I think they're really interesting. I've read a lot of books like that are like retellings of like creepy little folktales and stuff, and I think that that's a really interesting take on like stuff that's old, really. And I really liked this movie. I thought that the effects were really good. I thought that the transformation to the Wolfman was really good. I felt like I love body horror movies a lot of the time, and this one was a really good like creepy body horror like movie without being overdone also. Like I think it was perfect.
Yeah. Like the whole movie. So like one of the kind of things of this movie, like there's a lot of twists on the typical Wolfman story, but like one of the things that like is a kind of, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but like a plot device, is that most of the movie is him slowly transforming into the Wolfman. It's not like other movies where it's like a 5-minute sequence or whatever. It's like he's slowly changing throughout the film. And I'm trying to look up, let's see, why is it, I'm trying to find the thing, letterbox thing for it, but in that, it is more akin to something like The Fly or something, where we're transforming over time, and the effects are really cool. Something I really like about Leigh Whannell's kind of revisioning of these Universal monsters is that like he turns them into like movies about toxic masculinity, and both this and Invisible Man are movies about different kinds of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, this movie had a lot of themes of like generational traumas, particularly like father trauma, which was really interesting and cool, honestly.
Yeah, and it was like really well written, and it also just, so the first, spoiler alert, the first like 10 to 15-ish minutes of this movie, it's a pretty long opening. It starts with our main character, I believe his name is Blake. Blake Lovell, played by Christopher Abbott, who's great in this movie, as a kid, and him and his dad live out in the woods, and they're like survivalists kind of like lifestyle. It's just him and his dad is like
taking him hunting.
Yeah, taking him hunting, and they don't show him being like physically abusive necessarily, but he's like very aggressive with his son about like little mistakes he makes, and how you got to survive, and like he's very intense with his son. And later on, after this opening sequence, which we get like kind of a little sneak peek of, they run into a different Wolfman out there, but they don't get attacked. And his dad is like insinuated that he's searching for it. We flash to the future, and we see Blake with his young daughter in New York City, and we see a similar thing. Like they're in like New York City. Yeah, they're in New York City, and she's walking along like on top of like a construction thing, and he's yelling at her like, "Get down from there!" She's not listening, and you see him catch himself.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I don't want to be like my dad. Like I don't want to parent you like that. I want to and you see that aggression and that trauma is within him.
Yeah.
But it's really nice.
he's trying to break the cycles of his like generational trauma. Like he's just trying to be a better dad than he ever had.
Yeah. It's really nice to see a parent, especially like a father.
Especially a father.
In a movie.
Actually try to parent.
Exactly, and actually like try to be reflective in that. And I think overall that I love the way that he talks to his kid in this movie.
Me too. He's very honest with her, but also in an age-appropriate way.
Yeah.
And he explains things to her, like when she can't, like when he catches himself and stops like yelling at her, he's then like, he approaches it from the angle of like, let me tell you why you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
Which then like when you treat kids like humans, then the relationship is better.
No, yeah, you can totally tell. And he has a very close relationship with his daughter, and that's a big element. This character is a stay-at-home dad with his partner, his wife, Julia Carter, who plays Charlotte, who I don't know if they ever tell you exactly what she does, but she's like some New York executive, like
she's got a high-paying job,
city woman type deal, and they have a fancy apartment. And it's really fun. I think Julia Gardner was really good in this movie.
I do too.
And I think that I didn't expect this character is so different from Ruth, the character that she's definitely most well known for, like who. Just I think of as such as rural. She's like this rural environment character, and this character is just so urban. But yeah, long story short, they go to what's his name? Chris Rabbit's dad, Blake's dad dies, and they're going up to his house in the middle of nowhere, to kind of like go through
sort out the estate,
and all that stuff. Like when a parent dies, and they run into the Wolfman out there, and like I said, we're not gonna go scene by scene necessarily. Blake gets scratched. It's a whole thing. One of the coolest things I found about this movie, something I want to discuss, and like people who have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But it's, I love how when he started transforming, it's not just a physical transformation, but his senses are also changing, and we get some great
get some wolf vision.
We get some great sequences from whenever they slowly do it too. It's never like a quick snap. It's like his wife will be talking to him and he'll be like really sick, and then we'll shift perspective to what he sees, and it just gets more and more like altered, more and more weird and abstract. At first he just like can't understand what his wife and his daughter are saying, and like and the colors are like weird and enhanced, or like his hearing. Like I love the first one is like you hear what you think is like a big creature on the roof or something, and then he goes in the closet and it's a spider. It's a big spider, but it's like he's hearing the spider's legs on the wall as if somebody was like slamming construction equipment or something, against the house. And I love at the end when it looks really weird, and he's looking at his family's faces, and they look like I remember in the theater, like they look like aliens. Like they don't have mouths, they don't have expressions. Like they're just like these like fleshy spirits, and excuse me. And it makes sense why like he starts to act as aggressive as, because not only do you get the sense from his performance that he's losing his mind, he starts gnawing on his arm, but I feel like just that being your visual experience 24/7.
Right, like it's just like all of a sudden you feel like you're tripping like hardcore or something. Like it's so nothing is recognizable.
Exactly. It's like really well done, and just like such an interesting way to do like the monster vision type deal. And it just makes a lot of sense. It's just really cool. Was there anything else in particular you wanted to talk about with this movie before beyond? Because I feel like once we get to the house and once it becomes about the Wolfman stuff, it's that through and through.
And it's pretty fast paced, and honestly, like I think so a lot of people didn't like this movie, and I think it's because I don't know why, but y'all didn't seem to expect that it was gonna be like deeper than just like the Wolfman. Like I think the bad reviews on Letterboxd, especially like the average is like a 2.5 on Letterboxd, and I think it's mostly because people just didn't expect it to be like about like generational trauma, but I think it's great. I think it's a great retelling with like an actual relevant like theme to it.
Yeah, no, it was really well done, and I'm excited to see what Leigh Whannell does next. I wonder, I don't know if he's going to do another Universal Monster. As far as Universal Monster movies coming out soon, we have Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which
I'm hyped for that.
I'm hyped for that just because the cast is so hot. Because Oscar Isaac is playing Dr. Frankenstein. And Jacob Elordi is playing the monster.
Yeah.
Mia Goth is in there with it. It doesn't say what she's playing, but hopefully she's playing the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The cast is too hot. But yeah, Wolfman, check it out. Highly recommend it. I don't know if it's still in theaters at this point. It's gonna come out on digital soon, I'm sure. It's definitely worth a look. The next movie we saw this year was Presents.
Yeah.
It says 2024 here because this movie was first shown at Sundance January 19th, 2024, and then it received its wide release a whole year later.
Okay.
I wonder why it took so long. Distributed by Neon. You know, Neon A24's little cousin.
Yeah.
Little freaky cousin always putting out. I feel like with Neon
puts out good shit.
They do put out good shit, but I feel like sometimes I think they have a wider range than A24 as far as like every time you go see an A24 movie, you know you're going to get like a baseline level of like a solidly crafted horror experience. But I feel like with Neon, some of their stuff falls a little flat or it's just insane.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie...
It's like Blumhouse in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Where some shit from Blumhouse is fucking lit and some shit is just so like, okay, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah, let's talk about Presents. So Presents is a horror movie basically from the perspective of the haunted house, which is honestly such a cool concept, and I think it's a great angle to take. It's a little bit like Paranormal Activity if Paranormal Activity was smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I
feel like it would be it's like a smart Paranormal Activity. The camera work in this movie is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The members of the cast are all really, really like believable and complex characters. Mm-hmm. And I really like that there's really not a whole lot of dialogue in this movie, and I tend to like movies with less dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I think that with the sparingly used dialogue, you're able to get like a complete picture, which I really like. I really like how everything that the characters say is like very purposeful for you to know certain things, you know? And basically the family that moves into the house, the mom is like a super like boy mom kind of mom.
She loves her
She
son.
loves her teenage son.
A little too much.
Way too fucking much. And she basically abandons her daughter, Chloe, and just doesn't give a fuck about Chloe. And we learn through the movie, and the dad is like trying to step in more for Chloe.
Yeah.
Because he sees that his wife doesn't give a fuck about their daughter. And that is like a central conflict in the movie.
We do learn the details of this conflict and what these characters have gone through as the movie progresses. Just from, and I really love how they do it too. And it's just from these characters talking about it with each other, you know, like we are a voyeur on their conversations, you know, and that's like how we gain that.
And that was another thing that I liked about like the camera work and stuff. It just feels so intrusive. Like I feel like I'm like somewhere I shouldn't be when I watch this movie. Like it just feels like overall uncomfortable because you're like sometimes you're in the closet looking at people. Sometimes you're like literally in their face. Mm-hmm. And they just don't see you, like, because like you're like you are the haunted house, which is a really cool like POV experience, and the family dynamics are really, really interesting. Chloe, the central character, I would say, is the daughter who, her mom just doesn't fucking love her, and the daughter recently like had a friend who passed away, from a suspected drug overdose, and the mom just doesn't give a fuck about whatever trauma Chloe is going through. Yeah. Like, does not care at all. And so you just see this family's, like, crazy dynamic with each other. And the only other character that I feel like is, like, central is the man who kind of the boy who kind of becomes Chloe's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, the boyfriend who
who,
like, we'll get into it. Like, he's not what he seems.
I mean, he is what he seems.
Well,
the first time I saw that motherfucker on screen, I was like, this guy's an asshole.
The levels to what I didn't expect
him to be evil like that.
I thought he was just going to be a dick. I didn't know he was going to be a murderous dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we can get to that a little bit. As far as something else,
I couldn't hear anything you just said when you leaned back.
Oh no, I was just saying like we can get into the ending and him in a second, but I just wanted to mention how it's also really impressive that this whole movie just takes place in this house.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the movie, when we backed out, when like the movie ends and the spirit's done its job, so it's like ascending into the sky. So,
yeah.
Like we never really see like the gates of heaven or whatever. But like I was like, oh my god, we haven't left this house the whole time. I didn't even realize. And to the point where like I remember I was talking to Joseph about it, and him and Avery both really liked this. They said it feels like a really good stage play.
Yeah.
Like you could do this as like a really interesting play. And this house is just so cute.
Yeah.
You get
the house is so cool.
You get a good like feeling for like the layout of it and whatnot. But yeah, no, all the performances are really good. I really like towards the end of the movie some of the world building that gets established with like the supernatural stuff. Like they bring in a friend of like I think it's the Chris Sullivan that it's like his brother's friend or coworker or something who like they bring in this medium towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Who this woman and her husband, who she comes in and like gives us a little more information about the spirit and like, oh yeah, it's the spirit of your dead friend. It doesn't know why it's here, etc. And they establish.
And they say there's something about the window.
Exactly. And they establish kind of like how when a lot of people go through like extreme trauma, especially related to death, it can cause people to have like more of a connection to like the other side or whatever. And
yeah.
Like, I just really, and Chloe is, she's one of these.
She's intuitive.
And I really love kind of how they develop this larger world that exists here. And in that, I love the conversation. So Lucy Liu doesn't buy it at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Lucy Liu and the son.
She would if it were the son.
She'd be giving a shit if it were the son. But Chris Sullivan, the dad, believes, and there's a beautiful scene. I just like a really good scene where the father explains to his daughter that like he believes her and he like supports her and like he just like how he's gonna be there for her even though this is an extreme situation.
Yeah.
And it's just nice seeing there's just
a good dad.
That's what shit, that's been the trend in these first two movies.
Yeah.
Good dads. But yeah, and then as far as the ending goes, like, so it's revealed that major spoiler and also like major like trigger warnings for like just this ending. So it's revealed that the kind of boyfriend character that Chloe has in this movie,
who is a friend of the brother,
and
is older than her,
is
a date rapist,
and murderer.
Yes.
Who and throughout the movie there are a few times where we see him try to drug Chloe, but the ghost is able to step in.
And like the goat, like he tries to drug her orange juice, and the ghost literally like knocks the glass over onto the floor.
Yeah. He reveals, and throughout the movie they talk about 2 girls have died recently, seemingly of an overdose.
One was Chloe's friend.
And one Chloe didn't know that well. And it turns out that what's this character's name?
I don't give a fuck.
Ryan. Ryan has been killing these girls, getting them.
I thought his name was Tyler. Oh no,
Tyler's
that's the brother.
Yeah. Ryan has been basically like drugging these girls and killing them in ways that make it seem like it was an overdose.
Yeah.
And like kind of suffocating them and shit. And he's just that turn reveal is just so scary.
Yeah.
Like so fucking awful.
Yeah.
And basically this movie ends with the ghost sees Chloe about to get murdered. And the ghost goes and wakes up. He drugs his friend. He drugs the brother.
Yeah.
To knock him out so he can do his dark deeds. And he wakes Tyler up, and Tyler busts in the room and tackles his ass through the window.
And they both fall through the window, the brother and the rapist, and they both fall and die onto the driveway.
Yeah.
And we, throughout the movie, we see like the point of view of the spirit like looking out through that window, and like the window that they fall through at the end, and like the psychic says some shit about a window, and there's just like a lot of like throughout the movie. So at one point the father like yells at the son and is like, would you just stand up for your sister like just once? And then he finally does when she's about to get day raped, and then he fucking dies.
and we get a little bit of a time skip after that, and this is like the end of the movie. It's like a month later, I think.
Yeah.
Where they're moving out of this house, and Lucy Liu now she's
trauma bonded.
She feels the presence of the spirit. And it was hard for me to read. I mean, and it's got to be complicated feelings as far as like they never say it, but I got the sense that Lucy Liu had this feeling of like, why couldn't it have been my daughter type deal.
Yeah.
Like she never says it, but like there's definitely like
she doesn't give a fuck about her daughter.
Exactly, she doesn't care about her daughter at all. Just sees her as like a failure and like a.
She just hates her because she's a girl.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Yeah, but yeah. Aside from that, yeah, no, the ending just like a real emotional hanger. The ghost like flies off into the sky, and yeah, this is a really powerful movie. I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of like with what we know about where the plot is going. I want to see like more of the hints and reveals and stuff about the end. If you're looking at time here, this is how much time has elapsed.
Something that I loved about this movie was how small the cast was and how small the set was. Like, we're only in the house the whole time. Mm-hmm. I really liked all of the themes in this one too. I felt like it was a really well done movie. I also think that if the topics that we discussed about the movie are like really tough for you, I would not recommend seeing it in theaters, especially in theaters. But also, like, this is definitely one to skip if you have significant trauma around these themes. But I do think it is a worthwhile movie to watch if you don't have those issues. You know, if you don't have those like difficulty getting through those kind of topics. And I also I love a horror movie that is more than just like the same shit we've seen a billion times, you know? And like doing new things with horror movies besides just like, oh, there's some titties, there's some blood, and then the final girl gets killed, you know? Like, so horror movies that are more than that, especially now in like today's political climate, are just like nice to see.
Yeah. Something we were talking about the other day that just kind of make me think now, just with these 4 films, is that horror is really one of the reasons why it really is, my favorite genre now, is that you can tell it is the genre that the most, if you go back in time and look at different horror from the decades, you can see just everything that people were concerned about.
Yeah.
Everything, like, even down to, like, filmmaking techniques that were popular and the way that, like, stories were kind of, they are the best time capsule, in my opinion. And, yeah, this era of, I feel like this era of horror movies that we're in now, or especially these ones where we're taking these classic conventions like a haunted house and doing
something different, cool,
different with them, talking about issues that are more relevant for like right now. There are certainly a lot of horror movies that like a lot of the same themes come up, but we just explore them in different ways. And I feel like the movie we're about to talk about next is similar in that the movie we're going to talk about next is Companion. Mm-hmm. In that it's a movie about how men view women and how men control women. But it's told in like, I feel like a different emphasis than something like Ex Machina, for example, which is probably the biggest thing. Which, speaking of which, is there anything else you want to say about Presence before we move on to
Companion? No, I don't think so. We can move on to Companion.
Rock and roll. Companion is a 2025 American science fiction comedy thriller film written and directed by Drew Hancock. It stars Sophie Thatcher and Huey from The Boys. Jack Quaid, who just seems to be in fucking everything.
Yeah.
What has Drew Hancock directed? So I'm gonna look that up. And do you want to say how we were feeling about this movie, excitement wise, and do you want to talk about that stupid fucking trailer?
Yeah. So I have been seeing ads for this movie since like September. I feel like on especially like through TikTok. And I was really hyped for this movie right from the beginning because I was like, oh, perfect. It's like a Valentine's theme. I love Valentine's themed things, especially like a love themed horror movie, you know? And I was really hyped for it, but then they released that fucking trailer that revealed that Iris, the main character, is a robot. Mm-hmm. And I wish that they hadn't have just wish they hadn't revealed that, because while there are more twists than that in the movie, like the movie would have been so much better if that could have been revealed while we watched it. Like I think that was a major fuck up to include that in the trailer.
It's also very clear that the movie wants you to not know.
Right, because there's hints to it. Like at one point he asks her the weather and she's just able to recite it, and they treat it like it's just a quirk of hers, when really it's because she's literally a fucking Amazon Alexa.
Exactly.
And like he calls her Beep Boop as like Beep Boop as like a
like a robot pet name.
Yeah, like a
thing.
pet name, and like that's because she's a robot, you know? Like there are certain things in the movie that just would have been so much better if they just let it be.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing where like, you know, we still both of it we still really enjoyed the movie, and there are like a lot of things to be revealed, like a combination of character motivations you didn't know about and world building stuff about this world that's really interesting. But yeah, if we didn't know going in, because like the first trailer, you don't know what's going on. The original trailer is just like Jack Quaid being kind of weird.
Yeah.
And
they're at the table, and it's weird.
They're at the table. She's got her hand over the flame, and you don't know why she's holding it there.
Right.
You know. And yeah, no. So if that had been this movie wouldn't have gotten more like a 4.5 out of me.
Yeah.
Than like a 4. Like I gave it a 4 personally because I had a good time.
Too.
But that first trailer, yeah.
The first trailer really just ruined it.
Yeah. But as far as like the larger thing, so this is where we get into like more of the spoilers. Basically, the whole the larger plot conceit is that so Iris is a robot. Iris and Jack, she's Jack's or Jack Quaid. His character's name is not Jack. Josh. She's Jack Quaid's robot. Love bot or whatever they call in the movie.
Sex bot
companion. I think overall they're called companions.
Yeah.
Him and her are going to this like little retreat, ex machina ass rich house out in the middle of nowhere to meet up with some friends, and specifically her cat, I think is her name. His friend Cat, who is dating this. We think he's like a Russian mobster.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie, at the end it turns out it's not the hugest plot detail, but this Russian rich guy, billionaire guy,
yeah,
at his house. And what ends up happening is this Russian rich guy basically tries to assault Iris, have sex with Iris. At this point in the movie, they technically don't want us to know that she's a robot, but like in his head, it's like, oh, well, she's a robot. She's a love robot. She's built for this, whatever.
Right.
And he tries to physically overtake her, and she kills him, like defending herself. And she goes back to Jack Quaid, and the other people who are here is Harvey Guillen, who plays Eli, who people might know him from What We Do in the Shadows. He plays Guillermo.
Guillermo.
He's great in this movie. And his partner Patrick,
who we find out is also a love bot.
And Patrick is my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, he's cool.
Not only just this actor, Lucas Gage, we've seen him in some other stuff.
Wasn't he in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
He was in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. He was also in Smile 2. He was the drug dealer at the beginning of Smile 2. He's kind of shown up in more and more. Oh yeah, I think he's the first boyfriend in You that what's his name kills.
Oh yeah, that Joe kills.
Yeah.
He's the dumb boyfriend.
Oh, he's also Justin from White Lotus.
Oh yeah.
The employee's like, I want to fuck your brains out. That guy.
Yeah.
So this guy Lucas Gage. Honestly, I feel like we should watch out for him because he's got such a wide range as an actor. Like he's played all sorts of different kinds of roles, and he gets to fulfill a lot of different things in this movie.
Yeah.
Because at different points he kind of gets like reprogrammed, and like
sometimes he's creepy, sometimes he's cute.
Sometimes he turns into the fucking Terminator by the end of the movie. But so it turns out that Iris, so these robots when they come out the box are programmed to with the 3 laws basically of robot. Do you know the 3 laws of robotics?
Yeah, you like don't hurt other people, don't hurt yourself,
don't hurt other robots.
Yeah.
And basically Huey purchased this mod, which is this little flash drive thing that plugs in. Literally he has like an app that controls all different aspects of her, from her intelligence to her eye color to like whatever, personality. And this little mod thing plugs in, and it lets you access and turn off certain features of the companion, including their ability to harm people. So they turn that
off. It just makes her a murderous robot.
Yeah, basically. Honestly,
and the whole point of doing so is because it's an elaborate plot to kill the Russian guy. Like, the whole point was to kill him and blame it on like the robot fucking up, so then they could get them, like, steal the money that this guy has and be in the clear.
Yeah, that's the whole plan, which we find out, which it's funnily enough, Huey never finds out that his plan would never have worked.
Yeah.
Because just skipping to the end of the movie, we're not going to go through the whole plot, but skipping to the end of the movie, a lot of things happen, but it gets to the point where the dudes from the robot company show up, like the maintenance guys or whatever, the customer service reps or whatever, to come get the robot. And they, Huey's telling them the whole story about, she just went crazy, I don't know what went wrong. And then when these customer service guys are in their truck, about to drive off, they're talking about, like, do you think the guy was telling the truth? And dude's like, oh no, fuck no, that dude
definitely modded it, and he's gonna be in a heap of shit.
He's heap of shit, yeah. And I love that's probably
because the whole point is that, like, the robots record everything that happens, and all of that info is in the terms and conditions, which of course Josh did not fucking read.
Huey didn't read.
Josh, yeah.
Huey, Josh, Jack Quaid, all of them. But yeah, Josh didn't read, and there's a lot. The way that this world functions is so well thought out. I've heard a lot of other reviewers say that, like, this movie feels like a really good episode of Black Mirror. Yeah. In that, like, it's just like a really well thought out sci-fi conceit, and like one of the things that we both talked about that was like throughout a lot of the movie was like a thing for us was why it seems like in order to have one of these robots, they're probably pretty expensive. And we were thinking, like, in Huey's Josh has this, like, shitty apartment looking place.
Yeah, you were really hung up on this.
Yeah, no, well, this was something that was confusing me. Like, why would you do this whole thing to, like, steal all this money if you can afford to have one of these sex robots?
But we find out that it's a rental.
He's renting her. He's like, I don't even own you, I'm renting you. Yeah. And that that like makes sense as far as, like, she's a rental. Another thing that's interesting visually in this movie, what they do is, like, the robots are programmed with, like, meet cutes. Yeah. Like, they kind of pick personality-wise, like, a memory of, like, how they met, and it's, like, fake. And at one point...
Because the robots aren't supposed to know they're robots.
Yeah, because the robots aren't supposed to know they're robots. At one point, Josh, like, imprints with Patrick, and there's, like, a little meet cute scene where they're at, like, a Halloween party, and Patrick slips on his tail, and they kind of film it twice, and it's, like, an interesting visual thing. What was I getting at? But
I have no idea.
Just interesting world stuff. I want to know what you thought about the performances in this movie. In particular, Sophie Thatcher.
I think Iris was really good in this movie. I think that Sophie Thatcher did a really good job, like, being, like, I don't know, she really sold it. She really sold the, like, human robot thing, and, like, I really liked that this movie was from her point of view more so than anyone else's. Yeah. I think that makes it a step above something like Ex Machina, which like is like still from the men's point of view, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, this definitely feels like more of a, what is it? I don't want to call it more digestible than something like Ex Machina, but
this is also just like there are aspects of this that are just like a fun slasher, which is cool too.
Yeah. It's less grounded than something like Ex Machina. Yeah. I'd say that Ex Machina feels way more like super realistic in terms of like if this happened in the real world, what would it be like? I also think
I don't know if it's that realistic.
Or just like I don't know, as far as like I don't know. I think that someone like Oscar Isaac's character in Ex Machina is a lot more. I think one of the reasons why Oscar Isaac's character in Ex Machina is scarier to me than Josh in this movie is that dudes like Oscar Isaac, like as far as like in their capabilities, like have so much more power.
That's fair, but also like Josh is like a weird incel. Yeah, and we have plenty of those that do a lot of damage.
That is true. There are plenty of those. His super incel, he was an incel throughout the whole time, but like the cruelty that he starts to perform at the end of this movie is fucking crazy.
We should probably talk about Hard Eyes.
Yeah, let's talk about her. Nothing else you want to talk about with Companion?
No.
Of these 4 movies, would you... Would you say that this is your least favorite of the 4 that we're talking about today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they revealed the robot.
Yeah.
Too early. I really just can't get past that.
Yeah, it would have been more of a stand-up thing, but regardless, it's a fun time. Definitely worth checking out. Maybe a wait to streaming kind of thing, for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just last thing I want to say about it, I was looking up the director of this movie, Drew Hancock, and this makes sense as far as like did a lot of TV. He wrote and did a lot of producing of like network television and like network comedy television as well, which kind of makes sense as far as like this movie. The other 3 movies on this list all have a really unique visual look, I think.
Yeah.
Like they feel more like movies in terms of their composition visually and stuff. And this definitely does have a bit of a flatter, it's more about the performances, I think, and the writing and companion than these others. Bring it back to the Black Mirror. But yeah, let's talk about Hard Eyes, which we saw last night.
Yeah.
Heart Eyes is a 2025 American romantic comedy slasher film, which that's accurate because it's literally directed by Josh Rubin, written by all these people, starring Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding. Mason Gooding, who we know from the new Scream movies.
Yeah.
He plays one of the twins. And yeah,
this movie is by some of the people who did Scream, which you can really tell in the movie. Mm-hmm. Basically, Hard Eyes is a killer that travels across multiple cities. So every year on Valentine's Day for the past 3 years, he has struck a city in America, and around Valentine's Day he kills couples, and that's like the whole gimmick. And so this movie is set in Seattle, and he's in the Seattle area killing couples. And we meet the 2 main characters, who at the time of their meeting are not a couple, but they do become a couple, Allie and Jay.
Yeah.
They become a couple throughout the book, but the movie, but in the beginning they're not. We see at the very beginning Hard Eyes targeting this really annoying couple getting engaged. And then later on, like, Hard Eyes goes after Jay and Allie, and we find out it's because of a really passionate fake kiss they had before they became a couple, which is like really funny. But basically, the police are trying to unsuccessfully to figure out who Hard Eyes killer is, and they think at one point they think that the killer is Jay.
I thought the killer was Jay.
I thought the killer was Jay too. But then when they arrested him, I was like, no. But then I was also like, Scream did this to me also with Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
Because Billy Loomis gets arrested partway through Scream, and then you're like, oh, well, it can't be him, and it was him. A red herring. It's like an inverse red herring. It's like it's like reverse psychology. Anyway, so basically the Hard Eyes killer is targeting couples. He has a lot of fun like gadgets. Like he's got like knives with hearts engraved in them, and he's got like Cupid's arrows that are like really sharp, like basically ninja star type vibe.
I love his little extendable arrows.
Yeah, they're so cool. But anyway, he's really fucking ruthless. He's got this creepy mask, and it has hearts over his eyes, and there's a scene in this movie where he has night vision, and it's so cool because the night vision is like a pink red color, and his eyes like on the mask light up. And I just love his look. It is so Ghostface. It's so like recognizable, a little bit cheesy, but also like really good. Like I love a recognizable like monster face.
I think that Hard Eyes is a really good combination of the best parts of Jason Voorhees and Ghostface.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like his mask has a lot of personality. I like all the little colors and bits of makeup on it too.
Yeah.
But it still looks fucking gross.
Yeah, it still looks nasty and creepy.
And also in looking back on it, it's like I don't think he said this as far as like the Hard Eyes killer is a couple. And that's something that I think is a really interesting dynamic. You find out at the end of the movie that it's
a kind of throuple.
It's a kind of throuple. The third Hard Eyes, quote unquote, is just like, oh, that's just like a fanboy that we kind of tricked into.
Yeah,
there was like a little bit of
kind of fucking with.
Yeah, there's just like a little bit of a fake out, but it's the 2 cops. It's the IT guy who we see for like a second, and
then it's the weird woman cop.
The woman cop throughout the movie who she was just weird throughout the whole thing.
She was so
right.
weird.
I think that was what I wanted out of I remember not the first time I saw Scream 4, but like the first time I saw Scream 4, I thought that Judy I would call her Judy Hopps, Officer Judy, was one of the Ghostface, and like this is the energy I wanted that. But it's revealed that they're this couple, and this is like a sexual kink to them.
Yeah, killing is the kink. Killing is their fetish.
Yeah, and it's a thing where it puts the mask in Rich McNeil like, oh, this is like a gimp sex mask.
Yeah,
that has been transformed into a slasher mask. And overall, like, I love the idea of like as a couple activity, like let's be a slasher together,
right? Yeah,
you know, and it's a nice
it was a fun Valentine's movie, honestly.
It really was. Like it was equal parts. Like it's a great date movie. It's a very well constructed romantic comedy. Both the leads are like likable. I think that part of me flipped back and forth between liking Jay Mason Gooding in this movie, as far as like he feels literally like
he's just like a rom-com man.
An early
he's
2000s.
a rom-com lead. Like he just really feels like one in this movie.
Yeah, to the point where like early on it made me not trust him, not like him. But there are moments where like bits of humanity comes through with him.
I know, and it's like, aw, he's like, kind of cute.
Yeah, like I love the scene where probably my favorite scene in the whole movie is when they're hiding in a van from Hard Eyes at this drive-in, which by the way, great locations in this movie.
Yeah,
the drive-in was a really fun set piece. But they're hiding in this van.
This hippie van
where this hippie couple is having sex actively, and you hear
in the back seat.
In the back seat, and you hear in the background. But they're hiding from Hard Eyes, and Jay.
The couple starts having sex too loud.
That's when Hard Eyes pops up. But Jay kind of goes in this thing talking about like his parents and like, you know, like how it impacted the way he functions in relationships and stuff, and how he just like comes on too strong, basically. You know, like that's his issue, I guess. And you know, it's just like a really nice like little human moment, and to the point where like, yeah, at the end of this movie, like you really are rooting for them. And I just want to say I definitely love to see a Hard Eyes 2 with these same leads, but just at a different point in their relationship. Like,
yeah, I
think it would be really fun for the sequel. It'd be they're buying a house, or they just bought a house, their first house together, you know. And then because this movie is very urban, like we're kind of in all these Seattle places, you could make it more of a suburban thing. Like Hard Eyes comes to the suburbs, you know.
I think it'd be cool to do like a honeymoon version.
Ooh, that
Hard Eyes on vacation.
Exactly, Hard Eyes Europe.
At the resort.
At the resort, yeah. Oh, that'd be so good. Hard Eyes White Lotus edition.
I think that out of all of 4 of the movies, this one is like definitely the least serious. This one is like really just a fun Valentine's Day slasher. Yeah. Like if someone asked me like about the movie, that would be how I would describe it as a fun Valentine's slasher. There are some really unique kills.
Yeah.
There are some real like Ghostface like kills in this movie. And I don't know. I just think that the leads were really likable. I really liked the Hard Eyes killer. It just really reminded me of Ghostface, which like I adore the Scream movies. So, getting like kind of a fresh, it was like getting to see a Scream movie for the first time again, which like I am always down for.
Exactly. It's
like Ghostface with a Valentine's theme.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. A lot of fun. And yeah, those are the 4 horror movies we've seen in 2025 so far. A quick round table, round robin of those. Real quick, babe, we gotta do props.
Oh shit, props for all of them.
Which yeah, I guess one from each. Some of these might be harder than others.
For
I'm gonna have to go backwards just in terms of I might need to think about what the fuck is in Wolfman.
Yeah. For Hard Eyes, I want the mask. Hard Eyes mask. For Companion, I feel like there was something for Companion that I said I wanted when we saw it.
There's some good fits in Companion, I feel like.
There were some good fits in Companion.
I'm looking up just images from each of the movies. I remember Guillermo had a really good. I love
how when you Google Companion, there's all these photos of people and dogs. That's so cute.
Yeah, if you look at companion movie, what's his name? Harvey. Oh no, not Harry Potter. What's his name? Yeah, I really liked his shirt.
Yes.
His floral suit jacket.
Do you see that? The necklace he's wearing? That's what I want. He had this gem necklace, this gemstone necklace that has a bunch of really cute cabochons on it, and I want that. That would be my prop from companion.
Rock and roll.
And then
I want his shirt.
Oh, from companion.
From companion, yeah.
From presents, I want the house.
The whole
the whole house, because the house is fan-fucking-tastic. It's a beautiful house. And from Wolfman, that's tough.
There's a lot of good flannels in this movie.
That's true.
He has a good. Actually, I want his army his nice jacket, his nice green jacket. I think the only movie I super remember a good prop from is Hard Eyes. I really want one of his extendable Hard Eyes arrows.
Cool.
One of his little things. And then
from Wolfman, I want his cute little car, the cute little truck.
He does have a cute truck, and you're right.
The dad has a cute truck.
It is a cute truck.
I want the cute truck.
Yes, that's a good.
You know how I feel about a cute little truck.
It's a good pick. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
What are yours?
Companion.
The shirt.
Yeah. So the shirt from. Well, I was thinking about some other things in companion as well. Maybe just in terms of I want a shrunk down version of it. The box that she comes in from the company,
yeah,
maybe a little
like a trinket box,
a little trinket box that says
Empathics.
Yeah, Empathics. That's the name of the company, Empathics. Yeah, a little trinket box of that would be really fun from companion. And then from Wolfman, man, you did it good with the truck because there isn't a whole lot necessarily from Wolfman I could think of. And then from Presents, I
want the whole damn house.
I do want the whole house. He puts on a. I'm pretty sure the brother puts on the record of that song. What's the name of the song from Presents?
I don't remember.
We really like. There's a really good heavy kind of slow emo rock song in there.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I want the record of that he plays in the movie. I'm pretty sure it's a record, so I'll take that. And then from Hard Eyes, I want the little arrow. I think that I love that he's got gadgets.
Yeah,
he's got tools. And it totally makes sense that both the Hard Eyes' killers are cops. You know.
Yeah.
So that's that. They're there. But yeah, same thing. Really, Scream 6 also. Ghostface was a cop.
True.
What's that? What are the filmmakers trying to say there, eh? But yeah, no.
That's what they're trying to say.
But yeah, those are our props. Yeah, and we're gonna wrap up.
Cool.
Thank you, folks, for listening. This has been Midnight Movie Gang. It's currently 3:19 p.m. Night Movie Gang. Please check us out on YouTube at Midnight Movie Gang Podcast. You can also find audio-wise wherever podcasts to listen to. Check out our reaction videos. Check out our Patreon. Check out all of our stuff. We got things going on. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.
So, here we go. The child expectations and the complexes the police researching for James Thomas. Police have a number of things with him. And her partner is the horrible murder of Walter. Grant everybody that I'm here to hold on. Oh, please tell me where this going. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How long is it? Mile and a half? What could I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent, special agent,